Karthik? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Next, we have an ever-smiling, very friendly, a humble guy who is from Uganda. He is a problem solver. He always has a solution for any problems. He is a green and a red Kantari. You know, there was this dance in this campus that was named after him. And it was called the Ojok dance. He was very famous for this Ojok dance. Let's welcome Ojok Simon from Uganda.
Ladies and gentlemen, the video you saw was about a civil war between Ugandan soldiers and the rebels. As the result of this war, people's legs, lips, and hands were cut off by the rebels. Properties were destroyed. Women were raped. And children were kidnapped and turned into child soldiers. I also, at the age of 9, suffered in the hands of rebels. One night, I was sleeping in the house with my mother. The rebel attacked our own village. Suddenly, there was a serious break at the door, and people entered inside with flashlight everywhere in the house. I jumped up from my bed, confused. And they said, if you try to run, we will kill all of you. Stay where you are. Where are the boys? Where are the children? My mother was very scared. I was scared as well. They started checking under the bed, behind the curtain, everywhere. But they could not get what they wanted. So one rebel found me still standing. He thought I wanted to run away. Then said, you want to run away? You want to run away? He removed his gun from the back and started hitting me at the temple of my head near my eye. I fell down, and they left me with a lot of pain. 3 years later, I became partially blind because of that beating. My dear, being partially blind did not stop me to participate in some of the activities that young boys do. For example, hunting for wild honey. Let me show you a video about this.
And hours passed, and Tete is making impressive progress. But he's still got a way to go. News that honey's been found has spread quickly, and Tete's wife and kids come to watch. Tete's finally made it to the crown of the tree, but to go any further, he'll have to leave the security of his vine. Tete is fully aware how dangerous honey gathering is, but the Bayaka believe it's bravery that makes the man. 40 meters up and unattached, Tete can't put a foot wrong, but he's got to get at the honey before being overcome by bees. The smoke helps, but Tete is still being stung. Finally, Tete strikes gold.
It was very risky for me, climbing up tall trees while walking on the branches, balancing to reach where honeybee nests are. Not only that, even at times I got lost in the bush. I could still remember a particular evening. I left home prepared to go for hunting for wild honey. But 6 hours later, I could not locate my direction back home. I started making noise here and there. I nearly slept in the bush, but was only rescued by my elder brothers. I missed being praised from my grandparents the way my peers get from their home, because I could not easily serve them with wild honey. Well, that's not the only life. I went and joined blind school to learn Braille and continue with further studies. But my love and flavors for honeybee continued. So during my holidays of December 2002, something special happened in my life. I was walking in the bush nearby our home. Then suddenly, I started hearing some noise. I stopped. What is this? Move closer and closer. Then I came across a big clay pot like this, with bees flying in and out. Then I said, wow, there could be something inside. It seemed, and it's there. So I ran back home, collected fire and a container, came and smoked the bees, took it home, took the honey home, and we enjoyed. It was more than enjoyment, because I started asking, if this clay pot that nobody is taking care of is able to house bees, and I'm today getting honey out of that, can I not do something really similar like that? I waited when my mother went to fetch water in the well. Said, wow, opportunity has come. Went to her kitchen, carried another big clay pot, passed behind the behind door, took it to the bush, near the one I found. I left there 2 pots. My school holidays finished, I went back to school. 6 months later, when I returned home for second holidays, immediately I remembered my clay pot. So I went to check. I found this time both clay pot, they are having honeybees. and bees were flying around. Honey was really glittering inside. Really, I can eat this, okay. Starting from that 2 clay pot, I remember that first harvest I got, I took it home. Really, my mother also loved it. We enjoyed it. It was more than our own consumption. I started making even some living out of it. My pocket money, I would buy my basic necessities when going back to school. And later, though my parents passed away, there was something to fall back. That's my clay pot, and I started expanding on it. I learned a lot about the roles of bees to our environment, about the importance of bees' product for human consumption. And I've learned about honey harvesting, the different type of beehives, and so on and so on. But after my studies, I always ask myself, am I the only blind person in my country? Where are my fellow colleagues? What are they doing? Ladies and gentlemen, approximately there are 35 million people living in Uganda, and 1 million of them are blind and partially sighted persons. 90% of blind and partially sighted persons live in the rural area unattended to, while most development partners and government who are working with the blind only concentrate in braille education, computer training, mobility training, which are also centered in the urban area with the mind of for job seekers. So, as the result, many blind people are leaving their rural areas, go and attend this training with the hope of getting employment. But jobs are always not available. So after the training, they ended up on the street being street beggars. Instead of luring the blind and partially sighted person into urban areas, HIVE would provide them with a vocational skill training which is needed in the rural area, and agriculture is one of them. And I, who has been in beekeeping for more than 10 years, believe that beekeeping would suit the different profession among blind people. Why? First of all, beekeeping is not expensive in terms of labor. You don't need to go and weed like you are weeding other crops every day. Beekeeping doesn't need a lot of land, and lands are often available in the rural community. In our area, people always go back after their old age, which means urban area is not a permanent place, and land are always available in the rural area. You don't need to feed bees every time. There are always natural flowers from natural trees in the rural area. You only need the skill to tap the resources available. I said, well, I always keep seeing blind people becoming great entrepreneurs through beekeeping. And in order for me to realize my vision, in 2011, I came across a website, Kantare. I said, wow, I think I should learn more about social projects. I applied. I was thoroughly screened and shortlisted and got admitted. When I joined Kantare here, I learned a lot about organization management, project planning, bookkeeping, and so on and so on. All these skills would be used in my organization of HIVE Uganda Limited. HIVE Uganda Limited is being registered to promote beekeeping initiative among blind and partially sighted persons using 3 major models. 1, awareness raising, where blind people will become aware of beekeeping. And once they are aware, then they would be supported to go and establish their own bee project, which is the second stage, where they would go and start their own bee farm. And once they have established their bee farm. Then the third stage, which is marketing strategies, become easy for them because this time they have something to sell. I can see group of blind people coming to form farmer forum. That would also be like a strategy to change the mindset of the society towards blind people. Well, but can blind people really do beekeeping? Let's see in the second video.
Based in Matamata, they have 1,200 hives all over the Bay of Plenty and beyond. He's been a beekeeper for the past 18 years after becoming blind.
I would have thousands of stings now. One reason I get stung a lot is I don't wear gloves. And the reason why is my eyes. So I've got to feel what's going on in the hive. So if I wear gloves, I'm no good to anyone really. Right, we're going to have a disease inspection and we'll check to see if these are heavy enough for the winter, Darren, eh? Yep.
Out in the field, Darren acts as Bryce's eyes.
Got to keep an eye on you, boy.
A quick puff of smoke settles the bees down.
Put a bit more smoke on them too, Darren. Just to see, that's it. Just we don't want anyone getting stung here. So that's still all honey.
Yep, that's all honey and a bit of pollen there too, Bryce.
Oh yeah, so they are getting a bit of pollen.
Bryce can't see how much honey the bees have made, but the weight of the frames tells him how busy the bees have been.
All honey. Both sides too, look.
Yeah.
This one here's our brood one, so we'll be very careful with this frame. When I'm beekeeping, I've got to feel what's going on in there. Feel the bees, feel the brood, feel the honey and that sort of thing. So my fingers are very important.
His company produces a range of honey, supplying supermarkets and exporting to Europe and Japan. Today they're checking on the overall health of the hives.
You found much brood lately, or is it all sort of going
pretty...
There's a beautiful frame of honey, eh?
Bryce's hearing is finely attuned to his workers. He picks up clues from the tone of their buzzing.
When the queens disappeared, the bees will make a different roaring sound, so I can pick that up generally.
Bryce moves around the familiar surroundings of his processing plant with total ease. The production team work well together. Bryce's wife Sue is part of the crew. He's the only blind person in the room, but true to form.
Imagine East African society of Uganda, Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Burundi, where blind people are working at home in their areas and are not street beggars anymore. Imagine a society where blind people are taking care of bees and are not looking for employment, but instead they are employing others as their assistants. 10 years from now, I can see East Africa being well known for our bee farmers, being well known for honey and wax products marketed and designed by the blind. Thank you.
Ojok, you have a question from Ranjit Kumar from the US, okay? Of the 30 beneficiaries you pick initially, what is the number of the totally blind people? Of the beneficiaries you pick initially, what is the total number of blind people?
To start with, I will start with 30 blind people, both women and men who live in the rural areas.
You say that the startup phase is 12 months. However, you describe the training phase as a 5-month phase. What do the beneficiaries do for the remaining 7 months? Do they operate the business under your supervision for these additional 7 months?
Thank you. For the additional month, they will be looking after their own beehives from their home.
In the sustainability section, you say, agreement between HIVE and beneficiaries will be developed and signed by both parties, and beneficiaries will commit themselves to giving 10% of their first investment that will be used to sustain project running cost. Yeah? What do you mean by first investment?
What I mean by first investment is like when they started marketing their product, okay, they also have to put in their mind that there are other blind people that have not been reached. So also it needs to be reached. So the first investment is their first income when they are bringing in the year.
Thank you, Ranjit Kumar. Thank you, Ojok. Now to the panelists who are seated here.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the good presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, the question is, what are the challenges? You have described a lot of things, how you are going to move forward. But do you see any challenges in front of you to fulfill this dream?
Thank you for that question. The challenges that I see is many blind people would be coming for demand of services, but sometimes I might not have all the available resources to fulfill their needs. So it will become my challenge because of their high demand.
I think this was one proposal which is very much entrepreneurial in nature. You have a particular product in mind, and you have a kind of marketing strategy and capacity building in your mind. All the best. Just two questions. One is about, do you conceive of a kind of common brand name for your product?
Pardon, I request you.
Any brand name for, as HIVE as a brand name of, honey produced by visually challenged people?
Thank you very much. The brand name that is at the back of my mind is cane honey. But I could not come with it solely because I need to also get the conscience of the beneficiaries after when they have started producing.
One more question is actually a lot of this honey production, it can be used for a lot of medicinal purposes. Like we can create different kinds of honey which caters to different kinds of needs and sectors. Have you thought about that? Have you got any kind of, have you made contacts with R&D kind of thing who does really some work in the area of honey production, product differentiation and all that, no?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, me who has been in beekeeping, I know that there's a lot of byproducts which are from the honey, okay? Both from the pharmaceutical industry and also in this, they call it for design and whatsoever, even in cultural areas. So at least the mind is thinking, everything is cooking in the kitchen. What all life is now, bringing the food out to be eaten. What I mean by the food, is bringing what is in the mind into practice.
Ojok, I like very much your idea. I think it's really, it can be a big, big business. First of all, it solves two problems. One is a social for blind people, and the other is an ecological problem. So this is great already. And then I guess it can really you can really make one day money out of it. Because I know in Germany and Europe, people pay a lot of money for honey. So you need really to do a good marketing. And one of my questions now is, do you have already in mind a partner to whom you would like to cooperate in bringing it on the market?
In terms of marketing, at the moment, I don't have the partner at the moment because I have not yet come across it. But I would keep on just researching more about that because it will enrich the beneficiaries themselves.
Yes, it can be a very critical point. This is what I want to advise to you.
Thank you.
You said just before, Ojok, that there are many byproducts. You know, you have honey, you have wax. From wax you can produce candles, and you said also to make pharmaceutical products. Did you ever think of getting more of the value chain in your hands, you know, instead of selling wax, for instance? To give a simple example, you could produce also candles yourself. You know, did you think of extending the value chain and keeping back more value in your own hands?
Thank you very much. As I say, that there's a lot which is cooking in the kitchen. Actually, if there was an ample time, I would have explained further. That is at the back of my mind. Of after harvesting the honey, the value addition to the product, because in most cases, people waste the honeycomb or the honey wax, which are also a source of raw materials for making environmentally friendly candle wax. Okay, so at least I know about that, and I've thought thoroughly about that. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Ojok, for your wonderful presentation. And I would say your project is very straightforward. I just want to ask two questions. Have you done any research among the blind people? Do they really want to be beekeepers?
Thank you a lot. Before joining Kantare, I used to work as human rights activist for the 5 years after my university. And I have blind people in the rural areas. They are much willing in beekeeping, because last year, they got some, I wrote for them some small requisition from the local NGOs, and they wanted to plant fruits. But when I share with them the idea of beekeeping, in fact, they said, let's change this project. Let's use it immediately. But I said, no, I want only to get your opinion. So even right now, 20 beneficiaries is already very much yearning to start their own bee farm. So they don't fear getting stung. You know, because beekeeping, actually, there's a cultural concept behind that in our society. So it has been a driving force. Thank you.
Ojok, how do you convince the blind people then to stay in the rural areas? Do you have any plan for that?
Oh, thank you. How do I convince? By giving them the work which would really suit in the rural areas. Because what is behind between rural-urban migration is because of people go to urban centers looking for employment. Okay? And yet, you can work at home. For instance, even nowadays, there's a common word which is being used in the computer that work at home, you get homework. So it's possible. I would just convince them, and not even only convincing, because they always want to get something to do within their locality. So it's really possible, yeah.
I have a personal question. You're now a successful bee farmer, and you seem, to me at least, to be a very positive, you know, nature, human being. But you are blind because you were hit by soldiers, you know, with a gun on your skull. And that's the reason you are blind. How do you overcome this attack by another human being, which is cruel, you know, completely unnecessary, and Did you forgive your attackers? How do you live with it?
You are attacks by the. Repeat the question. I did not get the last point clearly.
Yeah, I would like to know your feelings. You know, you have now against the soldiers who hit you, the rebels, you know, who hit you, and so you lost your eyelight because of another human being. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Though it's a personal question, also I'll answer it. In me, not